Yo, what's up, Ranger fans, Renegaders, all you beautiful people out there in Twitch land. I'm Daddy Louie. I am going to be your host, your guide, your friend for the next 2 hours. So it's Morphinominal Monday. You know what that means. We're going to be painting a Power Ranger model for Heroes of the Grid by Renegade. You will have to excuse my voice. I am just getting over a cold. It is not COVID, and I'm no longer contagious, even though you can't catch a cold through the internet anyway. But I might sound like crap today, so I apologize for that. Anyway, I'm super excited. I'm always excited, but today I'm super excited. Because Dayne is actually my personal favorite of all of the models that Renegade has released so far. Obviously, Dayne is not released, but of all the models that I physically have here in the house, which is every model that we've seen to date outside of Santa, this is my favorite. So let's go ahead and stop staring at my sick face, and let's go down to the table and take a look at him. One of the reasons that I love this model is because he's like a wolf, very similar to, oh crap, you know, the other wolf dude. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. The other guy that we painted that was a wolf. Only this guy is a little more evil. He's red as opposed to blue, and he has these really super cool energy whips that he uses. Plus, he has this, trench coat kind of thing. It's really, really, really cool. So I'm really looking forward to painting him. We may do 2 streams with this model, just because I really want to get it right, and I really want to put the time and the energy into it. So, but maybe not, because base color wise, just looking at, not counting his weapons, the model himself, his outfit is black, white, or dark gray, white and gold, and then his skin is red. So we don't have a lot of colors to do, which will make the model go a little faster. The one thing that concerns me is the area of the cloak behind the legs. Someone asked, how solid are those whips? Because Renegade does not use brittle plastic like Games Workshop or Atomic Mass Games, you don't need to really worry about these breaking. They do bend, but they're not going to snap unless you literally try to snap them. Mine obviously was shipped in a container with other models, so I did use the hot water, cold water method to kind of mold them a little bit how I wanted them to. There are natural bends in it anyway, but, if you wanted to, you could bend it so that, the whip was a little more back like that. You could also bend it to where, like, the whips were out further. I just gave it these, this kind of look because he looks super cool, like, he's about to mess some people up. So that's all I got to say about that. And let's go ahead and get out some paints. So our first and most prevalent color on the model is dark gray, which is my favorite kind of colors. So we are going to start with German gray. And this is going to be for his bodysuit. So it might be difficult to see on the model. I'll try and get a little closer. The camera's actually pretty far away. Let me get the camera a little closer here. And you can kind of see, if the camera focuses, part of the jacket. I'm going to call it a jacket. I don't know if that's really what it is. It's torn here on the shoulder. And then he's got like these armor pieces on the arm. So this arm is actually exposed from the jacket, whereas this arm is completely covered by the jacket. And then, so this part here, let me get the paintbrush. So this part here on the model and this part here on the forearm, shoulder and forearm, that's actually his undersuit. And then he's got, like I said, these two pieces of armor that are on his arm. This arm, he doesn't have that armor. It's just the jacket. So there is a lot of gray or black. So this character comes from the comics. I don't believe this character has been seen on a TV show yet. So I'm working with very, very limited resources as far as photos go. Like his boots, for example, I'm going to have to take some liberties because I couldn't really. There's like one panel of the comic where like he's running and his whole leg is black, which tells me that his boots are black. But I also saw somebody did a drawing where they did like a gold trim. So we may add the gold trim, we may not. I'm not sure. We'll see how it looks. And let me go back to my original picture. And the energy weapons, they're different colors in different shots too, you know. Sometimes they're like an orangey color, and then other times they're like a yellow lightning color. So we're going to kind of do an orangey yellow lightning. And going back to my picture, there it is. Okay. All right, we're good to go. Enough blabbling. I feel like that's all I've done for 10 minutes. It's because I haven't been to work in a week, so I haven't had anybody to talk to. Because I've been sick. So I might be a little extra chatty at parts today. All right. And let's begin. Now, we don't have to be super careful here. However, I don't necessarily... On the skin, I'm not too worried. But on the jacket is primarily white. So if we don't get any of the German gray on the white, or on the parts that I want to be white, that will save us a little bit of time. So we're obviously all about the time saving. But yeah, this is a really cool model. Like, even if you're not a fan of like Power Rangers, I feel like this is like a great model to use in other games. It's just, as soon as I saw this model for the very first time, which was, you know, admittedly a little while before everybody else did, I freaking love it. As long as your voice holds up. That's true. I haven't lost my voice yet. I'm going to go to work tomorrow. I got COVID tested. It's all negative. They didn't give me a flu test, but they were like, you know, you can re-enter the population when you have been fever-free for 24 hours with no medicine, which has been like 5 days since that happened. So... This is actually one of the few models that I thought about not using German gray for the gray parts, since there is so much of that color. But I feel like that would be, you know, against my programming to not use German gray. glad it wasn't COVID, too. I got it from my kid. Now that they're back in school, the germs were bound to get home. So based on some of the pictures that I've seen, the inside of his cape or jacket or whatever, it's also like the same grayish black based on the pictures that I've seen. So, that's what we're gonna go with. I thought about just doing the whole jacket white, but I think the inside of the jacket needs some color, so. I've bought some German gray to use on the next wave. Good. I'm glad that my German gray movement is happening. Yeah, in one of the panels of the comic, he's actually got the two parts of the whip, the two end pieces connected together, kind of very reminiscent of like a Darth Maul weapon, where like it could be, you know, a two-handed weapon or two one-handed weapons. Let's see. Yep, so let's get some color on this. Remember the first time we saw Whiplash in an Iron Man 2 movie trailer? We were like, "Oh my god, his villain looks so cool!" And then we watched the movie and we're like, "Oh." Which is not to say it's a bad movie. It's not the best, but it's not horrible compared to others. Just saying that just I thought of that. Yep, and then he sucked. Exactly. We're like, oh. Okay. His gloves are also this color, so make sure we paint those. Oh, man. I'm gonna switch brushes for the shoulder. Definitely need a smaller brush for that part. The details are a little smaller. One thing I didn't mention when we first got started, that I will mention again real quick in my silence, is that I have an Instagram page, which you should all go and give a follow to. I paint and do more things other than Power Rangers, and that is where I post those things. So if you want to see some more paint jobs of other types of models, or just other nerdy things in general, you can go follow me on Instagram at the real Daddy Louie. Louie is Louie, all one word, at the real Daddy Louie on Instagram. Give me a follow over there, that'd be cool. I'd appreciate it. Okay, so that's all the black. So now we need to transition to the skin. We're going to leave the jacket because we're going to do a black wash over the model, and we don't want that wash to get on the parts that are going to end up being gold. So trying to decide what color I want his skin to be. I don't think we go Mephiston red here. Like, maybe we go corn red instead. I might need to do 2 different color decisions here. Let's pull out the palette so you guys can see what I'm doing here. Pink. Alright, so there's that red. I mean, that does look pretty good. Where's my corn red? Wazdaka red. Yeah, if I ended up going corn red for that is what it's called. Yes. If I ended up going corn red for the base, I would definitely use Wazdaka red for highlights and stuff. I just need to look at the two reds next to each other and see. Yeah, it's definitely corn red. Corn red it is. So this is corn red from Citadel. That's what we're going to be using for the skin of Dayne. And then we'll use Wazdaka as a highlight for sure. Okay, so it looks like the inside of his ears are lighter. Yeah, I definitely could always do blood for the blood god. I need better pictures of his face, man. They need to see where... It looks like the white is just underneath his chin. We're going to end up having to redo that part anyway, so I'm going straight with the whole face here. I just absorbed some of that Mephiston red, oh well. In theory, I kind of broke my own painting rule. Usually, when I'm painting something like this, aka not a ranger, I usually do the head and face first, other than the whole body. One thing that I learned a really long time ago was you start with you go from the top down, inside out. So I mean, technically, we kind of you kind of work from the center. So like we did his chest, so that's kind of acceptable. But that's all right. All right. Okay. I'm pretty happy with that, I guess. Kinda. I'm gonna let that dry for a second. Alright. I'm going to get a little bit of lead belcher. I'm going to paint his belt buckle silver. Making sure there's no other colors. All the details on his coat and on his, on his coat really are all gold. So we're going to do that towards the end. I do need to figure out what color his... I guess I need to get a new bottle of lead belcher soon. I need to figure out the hilt of his whips are they gold? I think they're silver with hints of gold. That's what we're gonna go with. Yeah, it looks cool. I'm going to paint them like completely silver to start, and then when we come back with gold, I'll just paint over the silver parts that I want to be gold, basically. And the only reason that I'm doing that is because I just want to remind myself that they're not supposed to be white. Because if I leave stuff white, then later on I'll overlook it, thinking that it was supposed to be white. And if I do overlook it, then at least it's painted silver. He's adding little details to his gloves. You don't have to do this. Alright. Let's go back to the... going to go back to Wraithbone, which is the color that I primed the miniature in. The reason I'm doing that is because I want to fix a few of the details, as well as start working on his face a little bit. A lot of the face detail will come later, but for now, I just want to make sure that that I clean up, certain areas, because we are going to do the shade next. And it's a pretty large model, and there's going to be a lot of shaded parts, so it will take a minute for the shade to dry, a few minutes for the shade to dry. So get your questions ready, because that'll probably be a Q&A time for us to, or we can just, shoot the nonsense around and talk about whatever, but you just got auto-modded. I don't know what that means. Does it mean you're a mod in the chat? I sent a message and Twitch is telling me it's not been sent because it needs to be checked by a mod. That's weird. Go back to her face. Where's your face, dude? Here it is. We got a side pic. Side picture of your face. Good. Let's see. I don't know enough about Twitch to know why it would do that. Alright, let that dry a second. Do another coat. That's pretty much the effect that you're going there. The line that separates the red from the white on his snout basically goes from the center of the center of his nose, which is really high up on his snout, straight back to the back of his jawline, and then wrapped down. So it goes all the way to the back of his jawline and then down. And then he's got this, line that goes, presumably from his Adam's apple down to his, manfro or whatever. So the best way to do it is literally just draw a line through his nose, and then everything below it will be white, and everything above it will be okay. Looks pretty solid. His eyeballs are white too. We're gonna do that when we after the shade. So right now I'm just really focusing on base colors other than the gold. So it'll look kind of plain right now because literally all of our base colors are down except the gold. And we slop the black wash over the entire model, let it set. We can then cover the places that are supposed to be gold with gold, and then we can start highlighting the rest of the model, probably saving the effect on the whips for later. So we're just gonna give that another minute or two to dry. Let's check up on chat here. Apologies if a random message shows up in like an hour about Venom 2. Probably do the white chin the same way I did. So that's what I did for Kruger 2. The difference is, if you look, this is just my opinion, if you look at Kruger, there's a definite fade in color between, like if you look at pictures of him online, there's definitely more of a fade from dark to light. Whereas with Dayne here, there's a very distinct line. So like you looking at the art and it's like there is no blending of colors between the red and the white. It's just straight red, and then there's literally a line, and then it's, white. So that's why I'm not doing that with Dayne. I did do that with Kruger, though, and we did it here on stream. So those that saw that will remember that we did do a nice fade. Actually, it's probably one of, if not the best model I've ever painted on stream, Kruger, because that fade came in really, really nice with that. Dayne's art is definitely more solid as opposed to that fade from dark to light. But to each their own. I'm curious to see how yours looks when it turns out, when it's all done. I'm definitely digging the corn red as the skin tone. It definitely, I feel, the way to go over Mephiston red here, because it is more of a maroon, which we can lighten up. I just think it's a really solid color for this model. Okay, I think we're good for shading. So for shade, we're going to use our good friend Nuln Oil. Let me get a shade brush. Give it a nice shake. Move it out of the way so I don't knock it over and make a giant spill mess of Nuln Oil on the table. And get in there. if you do not want to put a wash on your jacket the way I am, you definitely don't need to do this. Um, so the difference between a model that, represents a character on a TV show versus a model that represents a character in a comic book. The comic book character, in this case, this white jacket that he wears, is crystal, like it is pristine. It is very, very white. Like he just never gets dirty, which isn't really super realistic, right? Whereas if you have a model that represents a real life character or a character that you can see on the TV or whatever, most of the time, not all of the time, but most of the time, that white, no matter what they do, is going to look worn in some way, especially if they're in an action scene. It's going to look like it's gotten dirty in some way. And that's kind of what we're going for here. And the reason that I'm doing this and not following the pristine white of the comic is twofold. One, I really like doing this. I like the way that it turns out. And two, I kind of want my models to match, right? So this model is eventually going to go onto the table, and I just want it to kind of feel like it belongs on the table. So this is a step that you do not have to do. I think it makes doing the shading and the highlighting. I shouldn't say shading. It makes doing the highlighting later a little easier. But you don't have to. It's totally up to you. Almost got paint on my brush. That would have been awful. Just out of habit, I moved my brush towards the wet palette instead of towards the bottle of. This is also how I did the White Ranger. So I took the model, I primed it in white, and then the literal very next step I did was cover the entire model in Nuln Oil, let it dry, and then I worked the whites, and then I did the golds, and that is also one of my favorite models to date, as far as the paint job goes. So. Reference art jacket looks quite gray. Yeah, I mean it depends on the scene, right? So in different panels of the comic, it looks darker than in others. Right now I'm just dabbing spots that look like they're going to be a little too dark. Like it's settling too much. And, okay. I think that's pretty good. Alright. So let that dry for a minute. And you can already see the progress that we're making here. Definitely getting there with the model. So while we let this dry, does anybody have any questions or anything that I can answer? course, you don't have to wait till now to ask questions. It's just now is convenient because I can look at the chat. I'm trying to make sure that his mouth gets that nice line in there too. How does German Gray compare to Citadel Black? There's quite a difference. I happen to have both, so I will show you. Of course, I don't know how well you'll be able to see this on the screen, but we'll give it a shot. All right, let me see if I can... Yeah, you can't really see that super well on the screen. At least not on my screen, I can't show you. But here on the right is the black, and next to it is the German Gray. The German Gray has a blue tint to it. So the two work really well together, showing, you know, dark and light. I want to say I used black and... Hang on a second. Let me go check my cabinet. I thought maybe I had a model that had both German Gray and black like close to each other, so you could see a difference. But I guess I don't. And yeah, like as far as washing the Rangers, it's totally up to you. But like, this is the White Ranger that I was just referring to. Full wash over the entire thing, and I think it looks pretty darn clean. But that black wash, especially like in the folds of the crotch, in the ab area, in the hands, just to give them some depth. Same thing with like the Blue Ranger here, like giving those bits, the outline, like the between the blue and the white, that wash in there just to give it some depth and some extra character, like around the folds of the arms and stuff like that. Like, that's just the reasoning behind washing the whole model. It does take extra work because you obviously have to go over all of that with your base color again. But like, look at the back here. Like, you can just see like this really nice shadowing and stuff like that. It still makes the uniform look super clean, but it just adds some dimension and some character to the model, I think. But again, to each their own. Like AJ said, definitely no judgments. You can do whatever you like. That's what I'm doing. That's why I did put a wash on the whole model. Alright, so just taking a look here, making sure that we don't have any pooling. There's some around this ankle here. Man, highlighting that white is going to take a while. It may end up being the whole rest of the episode, the gold and the white on the jacket. I'm working on other stuff next time. But it's going to look sweet. It's going to look really, really good. I love this model so much. That's why I'm just giving it extra attention. Yeah, and he's got a scar across his face, too. That's gonna be... I just noticed that. Why didn't I notice that in the other picture? He is literally an X star, like a star, listen to me. A scar of an X right across the top of his nose between his eyes. Basically, the center of the X is right in between his eyes. Ooh, that's gonna be not so fun to paint. I probably should have done that before I did the wash. That's okay. That's okay. You know what I could be doing while this dries? Let's put some color on those whips. Okay, so looking at my reference photos here, they look to me like an orange, red, yellow kind of combination. The panel I'm looking at is where he's got the weapons together, and it's definitely like an orangey red. I know I saw another one where it was a little more yellow. So we may go dark to light. I think that's what we're going to end up doing. So let's start with let's go back to this picture here. Let's start with, we're going to start with Wild Rider Red, I think. Yeah, Wild Rider Red. It's kind of... It's the lightest red I think I have that starts pushing the boundaries of orange. You know what I mean? Like, if you look at it at first glance, you're like, oh, that's a red. But then as you keep staring at it, you're like, that's orange. As a matter of fact, maybe we start with Evil Sun Scarlet. No, we'll do the orange. The Wild Rider Red. The thing with Wild Rider Red is that it is a layer paint, so it's going to be quite thin. We may need multiple coats. We'll see. Gotta be careful around the bottom here because I don't want this energy here to touch his leg and get his leg orange. At least now we'll have color on everything instead of just primer on these. So if we run out of time, at least we'll have some color to go off of next time. I have to kind of be careful not to make this look like fire. Typically this color is a color I would use in my palette of colors for fire. So I want to be careful not to, because it's definitely not flame, it's definitely like energy. So we want to make it look glow, not burning, if that makes sense. And to do that, we may use some glazes, which I don't actually think, if I'm not mistaken, I don't actually think I've used a glaze on this channel before. I'm not like a pro glazer. I definitely cheat and use just Games Workshop's glazes, and yeah, I'm not great at glazing, but there have been occasions, especially when it comes to like this, painting something to make it look like it's energy or something like that, to give it like a glow, gems and jewels and stuff like that. Just some basic glazing. Yeah, that was definitely the color to use there. So the center of the energy, we want to keep that dark orangey color and then slowly work our way out to a brighter color. Probably something in the yellow range. It's like a little paintbrush hair. looks sweet. I don't know how red that looks on your screens, but like I said, at first, like it's like the longer you look at it, the more orangey it looks. I'm going to test a couple of washes on that, too. I have an orange wash and a yellow wash. I think yellow is the way to go, but I'm going to see what this orange wash looks like on my... Oh, I kind of like that. No, we're going to go with the yellow. Alright, so for the whips here, we're going to use this Cazadorian, or Kazandora. I hate the names of these things. Kazandora Yellow. It's also a GW wash, and just gonna slap that on there. Should brighten this up a little bit, I think. You don't have to do this. Yeah, definitely no doubt about it now. They definitely look orange. Hey, what's up, Power Ranger Fan 30? We are painting Dayne today. So far we did some base colors and an overall wash. Then we started working a little bit on the whips. And now that we are going to let them dry, we are going to go back to the rest of his uniform here. So I think I'm going to start doing the gold trim, right? I think that's the play. Or should I just work on the white? No, I feel like we do the trim just in case we get gold on the white. That makes sense. So we're going to switch over to our gold. So we'll start with Retributer Armor and go from there. See what we like, what we don't like. the small brush for this one. So this is Retributer Armor. You can use any gold. I actually found my Army Painter metallics the other day. So, I mean, if that's all you have, you could use those too. Primer was Wraithbone, and the dark that you see on there, that is German Gray. The cape, or the jacket, whatever you want to call it, cape or jacket, that is just the primer color, so that's also Wraithbone. And the skin is Corn Red. And I think that's all you've missed. The yes, so sorry, the belt buckle is Lead Belcher. Yeah, so the hilts of the weapons we also painted silver. And I'm going to do some gold trim on them a little bit later. Um, the whips, we started with Wild Rider Red. Alright, let's see. Let's look at some more reference pictures. I know the thing around his wrist is... That's a good one. Oh, is this stripe up here gold too? It must be. That's a tricky spot. So he's got like these rank, like almost like these rank lines or bars on his sleeve. And they end like inside. Man, I'm getting orange wash on my hands. They end like inside like the crack of his arm where he's holding up his fist there. That kind of sucks. It's a tough spot to get to. I think one of the reasons that I like this model so much is because the character design is so cool. You know, I'm not like an uber Power Ranger like knowledge person. I love Power Rangers. Grew up with it, you know, all that stuff. But I don't know, obviously, nearly as much as all of you guys. Because I've only been exposed to a few of the shows. I have read a lot of the comics. Not all, but a lot. But the character design for Dayne is really, really cool. And let's be honest, as Power Ranger fans, we can say this. Power Rangers doesn't always have the greatest character designs when it comes to everything, really. You know, like, sometimes we get really bad heroes, sometimes we get really bad villains, sometimes we get horrible monsters. So when the really good ones come around, you know, we obviously gravitate towards them. Um, and I think that's one of the reasons that I love this model so much, is just because um, the character design is really, really cool. Um, Trying to get in there. Trying to get in the crack. Sorry, you might just not see it. Yeah, yes, exactly. When the well-designed characters show up, they really stand out, and that's definitely this one. I think that's all the gold. Yeah, the chain. Oh, I guess his collar has gold on it too. Never mind. I guess that's not all of it. I gotta pull it close to my face for just a second. So I really have to commend Renegade here. While I'm painting this collar piece, it's going to be impossible for me to show you guys, but you'll see this when you get your own models. A lot of companies, when they make miniatures, especially when they're designing the miniatures, they don't necessarily put details where they should be. And in this case, if you happen to look at a reference photo of Dayne, the tip of his collar here on the, let me focus that, sorry. The tip of his collar here is gold, right where I've painted it. And again, I'm not going to be able to show you this on the camera because the detail is microscopic, but Renegade even went as far as to literally put a line, an indentation along the inside of the collar, separating where the white would be and where the gold would be. They didn't have to do that. They could have just made it flat. That's one detail they didn't have to add, but they really went above and beyond, as they always do, adding that detail in there. So for you beginner painters who have a hard time adding details on without being able to actually have the lines and stuff that you need, there is a guideline in there for you for that detail on the model, which is just super, super cool. All right, so that's the gold, and we are looking really, really good here. So we have kind of 2 or 3 options. We can, I don't know, do we detail the cape? Do we work on the body? Do we work on the face? Lots of options here. What do you guys want to see next? Work on the jacket, work on the body, work on the face. Definitely not going to get the entire model to the standard that I would like to see this model be at today. So we're definitely going to have to come back at it. And I don't know if you guys will get to be there the next time. So what do you want to see right here, right now? We can work on the whips, certainly. Face. Let's work on the face. And then we will work on the whips as things on the face are drying. So first thing I'm going to do is give him a nose, because he deserves a nose. Don't forget the scar. Yeah. That's the other thing. Now I'm looking at this picture and I'm starting to think that maybe he's got hair or lines on the top of his head. Not lines, but like... Yeah, he's got 3. I think we save that for later. Let's work on... Yeah, let's do the scar and the ears. So for the scar, we're going to use Pink Horror. Actually, I don't think I want it to be that bright. So we may tone it down a little bit with Screamer Pink, let's say. The inside of his ears are actually the same color as his scar, too, so we'll do that all at the same time. Let's work on this scar. So I'm basically doing 2 parts Screamer Pink. I'm sorry, 1 part Screamer Pink, 2 parts Pink Horror, to make a color here. It might be too dark. I might have to do 3 parts. I think we're going to do 3 parts Pink Horror. Pink Horror by itself might be okay. We'll see. I'm going to do this first and see how... Yeah, I feel like it's brighter than that. Let's just go straight. pink horror here and see what that looks like. Alright. I may not speak for a few minutes. I'm going to try and get all of this on camera doing this scar. Alright, I think that's pretty good. I went ahead and highlighted some of the red because I needed to make some corrections to the scar. I decided to go with straight pink horror because anything darker than that really just made it look like too close to the skin color. And if you look at some of the stills of the character, it's very like the scar is very noticeable. I can't even believe I didn't notice it the first time I looked at the picture. So I really want it to look the part, you know what I mean? So to answer your question, it is straight pink horror for the scars. This is back to our base color of Wraithbone to brighten up the white. If you don't have Wraithbone, you could use Althuan Grey here. It's also perfectly fine. The only reason really that I'm using this instead of that is because I have it on the palette, so no point in getting out another pink color just yet. Did Atomic get banned from the chat? He hasn't said anything in a while. I really want to do a little bit more with that red. No one has been banned. He just got quiet. Oh, there he is. Also had to do some chores. Oh. Yeah, white looks pretty good. Alright, let's see. What can we do with that red for the last? Wazdaka red. Let's play around with that a little bit. He's got like these scales. I'm basically just putting little drops of the paint inside the scales just to make them, you know, a little lighter. Alright, so it looks really good, and I don't want to keep messing with it because I feel like when something ends up turning out really well, the more you mess with it, the worse it kind of gets. So we're gonna stop. Let's do the neck a little bit. This is Wazdaka red. Wazdaka red. It's the next color up in the color line from Citadel for corn red. So if you have corn red, excuse me. Alright, face done, or we're calling it done for now at least. Let's work on the whips a little bit here while we have a few minutes. My friend Tony loves wolves, and he loves characters like this. I can just imagine, like, This is the type of model I could see him like bringing me and saying, "Hey, I want you to paint this for me." So this is Troll Slayer Orange, and the idea here is just a simple dry brush. It may not even do anything because of that wash we put on the model earlier. Yeah, it's not even doing anything. That's okay. This one is Fire Dragon Bright. I'm trying to be careful because I don't want the flakes of the I don't want the flakes of the dry brushing to end up on the model, especially on the black, like it did a little bit, so I'm gonna have to fix those parts. Yeah, I was thinking the same thing about the song in the background. I'm a lone wolf and painting a wolf. A lot of people, when they're painting fire, um, they use the same method that I'm using. I don't do that because fire actually is the opposite of the effect that we're going for. The way that I'm going to distinguish this from fire is the energy color is darkest in the center and then gets progressively lighter towards the outside. Whereas fire is the opposite, right? Fire is brightest in the center and then gets darker on the outside to pretty much where it's black from the smoke. So when I paint fire, I do the opposite of what we're doing now. Whereas I would have painted it light in the center, we would have started probably with white, and then we would have done, yellow, bright yellow, orange, or, a little bit of red, dark red, and then black as like an extreme highlight. That's not the effect that we're wanting here. But a lot of people do this exact same thing that I'm doing, and they call it fire. And they're like, well, in my eyes, that's not fire, but, to each their own. You can do that after painting, to answer your question, but you're not going to want to do it with water. You're going to have to do it with a heat gun. So you're going to need to use a hair dryer may work. It just kind of depends on the strength of the hair dryer, or a heat gun to heat it up, and then from there, basically hold it in place, and then if it's cold outside, take it outside, or then you I don't know, put it in the freezer or something. But then you'd have to have some way of holding it while it gets cold. I mean, you could hold it in the freezer, I guess. It only takes a couple seconds. Definitely easier to do it before you paint. This last color that we're using here, this kind of yellowish color, this is Dorn Yellow, D-O-R-N. And then the last thing we're going to do before we call it an evening is throw a glaze over it, over that yellow / orange. But that's kind of the effect that I'm going for there. And then next time that we meet, we will do the highlights on the jacket. That's going to take quite a long time. Highlights on the black outfit, and then maybe we can give him some kind of space base of some kind. I'm not really sure what kind of base we can give him. So the glaze here of choice, I think, is going to be this Lamenter's Yellow. I have not done a clean thing yet. I was sick last week. My plan was to do it last week, and I was ill. So maybe this week, maybe next week. I've got to do. I'm gonna be in a movie, which is kind of cool to say, I guess. And I have to record my. I shouldn't say I'm going to be in a movie without giving context first. I'm going to be a voice in a movie. You won't be able to see my face. And the parts that I am participating in, I need to record. And I'm quite late on doing that. And I feel bad because I know that they're ready to move on with the audio stuff. So my plan this week is to, now that I'm feeling a little better, because obviously I need my voice, is to record middle to the end of this week for that, and then I can refocus on doing some other nerdy stuff. Is it the Super Mario movie? It is not. It is an independent black and white film. And although I haven't signed an NDA, I don't know what details I can really give about it, so I'm going to say no more. Other than it comes out next year. There you go. That I can say. We're going to have a red carpet premiere and everything. It's going to be fun. Same studio that I was in the last movie for. I'm in a 1 minute short film that we made for, I didn't make it, that my friend made for a film festival 1-minute film competition. That's actually on YouTube. You can actually go see that. You can go watch that if you wanted to. Alright, so that's the effect that I kind of wanted. That glaze will dry. It'll get a little darker. It's a little more neon than it is in the comic. In the comic, it's a little bit more flatter of an orange. But I think it looks cool. It gives kind of like this cool energy vibe going on. I hope it looks as cool on the screen as it looks in person, because in person it looks pretty cool. And then, you know, we have a lot of work to do there on that back cape, so. But yeah, the face is done. His face looks really cool. Oh, you know what? His face is not done, because I even said, I gotta hurry. I said I was gonna do it at the end. He has those. I don't know if they're markings on the top of his head, or if it's like a hairline. But I need to give him those. So we're gonna go from about there back, there back, and there back. Okay. Let's see. Now we're accurate, at least. Alright, so as we close this out, and I fix this last little bit that I just screwed up by adding those markings, I want to remind you guys that if you want to see more from me, you should immediately, following this, go and follow my my Twitch. No, not my Twitch. We're on Twitch. Come on now. Instagram. Thank you. Instagram. At the real Daddy Louie. Louie is spelled Louie. One word, at the real Daddy Louie. And give me a follow there. Lots of nerdy content. As always, thank you to Renegade for having me on these streams, allowing me to do this. You guys have no idea. It's like a, yeah, I got some facial hair growing on now that I'm retired, huh? It's a dream come true doing this and being here with you. I wish that I could do it all day, every day, but I digress. So we're back in 2 weeks. 2 weeks from today. That is, my calendar is not working yet. It's the 11th of October. So make sure that you come back and see us finish painting Dayne. I'll get pictures posted up on my Instagram so you guys can see the work in progress that we're at right now. I love you guys. I hope that you have an amazing week. Make sure to remember to take care of yourself, take care of others, and play your games, and I'll see you next time.